a sealed envelope, a royal DNA test, a shocking match. Princess Diana's secret heir has been found, and it's not Prince William. With a 99.8% genetic confirmation, the royal bloodline has officially changed. The palace is panicking. The line of succession is in chaos. The truth is out. The bombshell envelope, royal secrets delivered. The royal halls of Kensington Palace had never felt colder. On a seemingly ordinary morning in April 2025, a sealed, unmarked envelope arrived without warning. No postmark, no sender, only a thick crimson wax seal pressed with an unfamiliar insignia. At first, staff assumed it was another classified royal document meant for the archives. But when a senior aide broke the seal and unfolded the pages, silence gripped the entire room. Inside were DNA results, and the name Princess Diana was printed clearly beside the initials ER, marked as a 99.8% genetic match. One attendant whispered, "This changes everything." The envelope had bypassed royal protocol, slipping through the palace's strictest security nets. No CCTV footage captured its delivery. No courier name appeared in the registry. Even the Royal Communications Office was blindsided. It seemed as if the message had appeared out of thin air, its arrival as mysterious as the secret it carried. A confidential leak soon hinted that the test originated from routine medical screenings conducted within royal records decades ago, possibly linked to samples collected after Diana's tragic death in 1997. These forgotten archives, paired with new genetic data, had allegedly sparked the discovery. Behind closed doors, the royal household was thrown into chaos. Trusted advisors, family members, and longtime courtiers gathered for an emergency midnight meeting inside the Kensington Map Room, a setting historically reserved for state crises. Within hours, the whispers spread beyond the palace walls. Journalists stationed near the royal gates described an unusual string of late-night car arrivals. Rumors said King Charles had been informed personally just before dawn. Inside sources spoke of disbelief, some of grief, others of fear. If the DNA results were authentic, they wouldn't just rewrite history, they would reorder the line of succession. If this is true, the monarchy isn't just altered, it's reborn, one anonymous royal historian told The Times. And as the palace tried to contain the storm, one question burned through every corridor. Who was this mysterious ER, and why had her existence been buried for over 40 years? The answer would come soon, and it would be even more explosive. DNA confirms what rumors whispered for decades. For decades, whispers echoed through royal circles, hinting at an unacknowledged child of Princess Diana, a secret born before Prince William's arrival in 1982. Many dismissed the stories as tabloid myths, blaming them on the press's obsession with Diana's every move. Yet those whispers never fully faded. Now, in 2025, a scientific revelation turned rumor into undeniable reality. The DNA report, verified by a Swiss genetics laboratory in Geneva and cross-checked by two independent British experts, showed an unmistakable maternal link between Diana and a woman identified only as Elizabeth Rose. According to the leaked birth records, Elizabeth was born in late 1981, months before Diana gave birth to William. The evidence suggested a possible IVF-related procedure, a secret medical experiment allegedly conducted under palace oversight for fertility reasons. A lab technician at the time had supposedly used Diana's fertilized eggs for testing, only for the embryo to later be carried by a surrogate, without Diana's direct consent. The DNA probability, 99.8%. The error margin, less than 0.02%. The relationship confirmed, mother to daughter. A palace insider who reviewed the findings said it wasn't rumor, it was proof. And the proof had a pulse. This revelation shifted everything. Royal analysts compared the case to historical succession disputes like the 1936 abdication crisis, but even that seemed small beside this. If Elizabeth Rose was indeed Diana's biological child, her claim to the royal line would outrank even Prince William under traditional rules of birth order. The monarchy's entire structure, titles, estates, and lineage, stood on the edge of collapse. The public was about to learn the truth, and for the royal family, there was no turning back. DNA doesn't lie, wrote one columnist in The Telegraph. And when blood speaks, even crowns must listen. Now all eyes turn to the woman herself, the hidden heir the world was never meant to know. Meet the hidden heir. Who is Sarah, or Elizabeth Rose? Her name was whispered through palace corridors like a ghost. Sarah, or as some sources now call her, Elizabeth Rose. Born allegedly in late 1981, just months before Prince William's official birth in June 1982, this woman had lived her entire life in the shadows. Her existence had been buried so deeply that even senior members of the royal household reportedly had no idea she existed. But now, thanks to that DNA envelope, the truth could no longer be denied. Princess Diana had a secret daughter. According to explosive reports, the origin of this hidden heir goes back to a controversial IVF procedure, allegedly done during Diana's early marriage to Prince Charles. As part of fertility testing, standard for royal heirs at the time, Diana's eggs were harvested. But the story turned sinister from there. One of those fertilized embryos was reportedly implanted into a surrogate without Diana's permission, possibly under classified medical experiments tied to genetic legacy continuity discussed in private royal medical briefings from the early 1980s. This child, Elizabeth Rose, was reportedly adopted by a British couple connected to diplomatic services, then later moved to the United States, where she lived under an alias. According to a 2022 leak from a now-deleted government registry, she grew up in Boston, studied law, and kept a low profile until she began to question her origins after Diana's death in 1997. It was during this time she allegedly discovered documents linking her biological mother to a former royal subject, sparking a years-long investigation that culminated in the 2025 DNA revelation. Why was she kept secret? Some believe she was hidden to protect the monarchy from scandal, while others suggest a more calculated reason, to prevent her from ever challenging the line of succession. Her face, according to insiders who've seen her, bears an uncanny resemblance to Diana. The same smile, the same piercing blue eyes. She is Diana, just in another life, said a former palace security officer. That's what scared them the most. Now, with her DNA confirmed and the press closing in, the royal family faces an unthinkable dilemma. Where does Elizabeth Rose belong? And more importantly, who will try to stop her? Royal lineage in chaos. Who loses? Who gains? The British royal line of succession has always followed a strict order. Charles, then William, then his children, George, Charlotte, and Louis. It's been the structure the monarchy has relied on since before Queen Elizabeth II ever wore the crown. But now, with Elizabeth Rose's existence confirmed, the entire Windsor order has been turned upside down. If Elizabeth was indeed born before William, traditional succession law, especially those followed before 2013's Succession to the Crown Act, would place her ahead of him. That would make her the rightful second heir after King Charles, bypassing both William and young Prince George. This isn't just symbolic. It carries enormous legal and political weight, including claims to titles, estates, and the future of the crown itself. Insiders say private legal teams have already begun reviewing centuries-old statutes and precedents like the 1701 Act of Settlement, which could technically still uphold the primogeniture rule, firstborn child rules, regardless of gender. If these legal paths are confirmed, Charlotte and Louis would also be displaced, causing a total reshuffling of the royal pecking order. The emotional toll on William is reportedly immense. Sources say he's in quiet turmoil, torn between protecting his children and facing the truth of his mother's lost child. Kate Middleton, ever the pillar of stability, has allegedly been acting as a mediator between William and palace officials, quietly fighting to preserve her children's positions. This isn't about thrones anymore. It's about identity, a royal biographer told Sky News. And once that changes, everything else falls. The stakes are higher than ever. With lawyers circling, titles at risk, and public opinion shifting by the hour, one question looms: will the monarchy bend to truth or break under it? And behind that question, one woman's presence grows louder. Elizabeth Rose, the hidden heir, may soon become the most powerful royal figure in modern history, and the palace in turmoil, denials, leaks, and damage control. The moment the DNA revelation hit the palace, the walls of Buckingham and Kensington shook, not from a physical tremor, but from pure institutional panic. Instead of issuing a statement, the Royal Communications Office went completely silent for 72 hours, a move that only fueled speculation. Behind closed doors, aides rushed to contain the fallout. Leaked voice notes from inside the palace revealed discussions about media blackouts, tight-lipped briefings, and a scramble to prepare for international press pressure. According to internal emails exposed by a former palace staffer, high-ranking officials were instructed to label the story as fabricated and push the idea that the documents were digitally altered. But the documents weren't the only thing leaking. Internal memos, medical records, and even travel logs connected to Diana's 1981 IVF procedures began surfacing online. Staff were allegedly threatened with immediate dismissal if found speaking to the press or even among themselves. The royal legal team, including 3 barristers and a former High Court justice, were pulled into emergency briefings just one day after the envelope's arrival. Crisis PR firms were also engaged, some the same ones used during the Meghan and Harry media crisis in 2021, to spin the narrative. Their goal? Dismiss the findings as theory, hoax, or an old smear recycled. Key royals were put on lockdown. King Charles, reportedly informed within hours of the leak, retreated to Balmoral, declining all public engagements. Camilla is said to have been visibly shaken, and even Kate Middleton was reportedly advised to avoid making any statements. Rumors even claimed she privately supported William in pursuing a direct confrontation with palace advisors over the truth. This is not a scandal. It's a crisis of succession, said one former royal insider. They're not managing damage. They're managing survival. But the silence only lasted so long. The public wanted answers. And as pressure mounted, one man had no choice but to face it head-on: Prince William. William's confrontation, the crown's future at stake. Prince William had always carried the crown's future on his shoulders. But now, everything he thought he knew, his position, his role, even his lineage, was being called into question. Sources close to the prince say he demanded an immediate meeting with King Charles after reviewing the full DNA report. The tone of that meeting? According to one staffer, explosive, emotional, devastating. William allegedly asked his father directly, "Did you know about her?" The room went quiet. No clear answer came. That silence, insiders say, was worse than a denial. The confrontation reportedly took place inside Clarence House, behind 3 layers of closed security. But even in the privacy of the royal quarters, word leaked out. Witnesses described William leaving red-faced, shaken, and silent. The emotional weight was massive. If Elizabeth Rose was Diana's firstborn and legally legitimate, William's entire claim to the throne could unravel. But it wasn't just about his crown, it was about his children. How would this impact Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis? Would they still hold titles? Still stand in the line of succession? In the chaos, Kate Middleton took on the role of protector. Sources say she urged William not to respond emotionally, but strategically. "We protect our family first," she reportedly told him. Advisors described her as calm but commanding, a steadying force in the face of the monarchy's worst nightmare. Behind the scenes, William weighed the unthinkable. Should he publicly address the issue or stay silent and let the press chew through palace lies? A private source claims he considered releasing a video message, but was warned by lawyers that doing so could be perceived as an admission of invalid succession. "He's not just a prince anymore," said a political analyst. "He's a father fighting to defend his family's future." Now, with his own identity hanging by a thread, William must choose: protect the crown or face the truth that could destroy it. And as the world watches him closely, one question won't stop echoing. Is Prince William really the heir, or just another royal casualty of buried secrets? Public verdict, the press, the people, and the outcry. The media didn't just report the story, they ignited it. Within 24 hours of the leaked DNA confirmation, headlines around the world exploded. "Royal line rewritten," screamed the front page of the Daily Mail. "Diana's firstborn found?" asked The Guardian. Meanwhile, royal commentators flooded TV panels, and social media platforms like X, formerly Twitter, and TikTok lit up with the hashtag Hidden Heir trending in 47 countries. The public reaction was split down the middle. Some couldn't believe it. Others had always felt it. Longtime fans of Princess Diana rallied behind the theory, calling Elizabeth Rose the people's rightful princess. In contrast, die-hard royalists called the news dangerous fiction, designed to destabilize the crown. Still, the hunger for the truth only grew stronger. Change.org petitions demanding a full royal investigation collected over 1.2 million signatures in under a week. Royal historians were flooded with requests to re-examine Diana's letters, medical records, and journals, hoping to find breadcrumbs the palace ignored or buried. Old interviews with Diana resurfaced, especially her infamous 1995 BBC Panorama confession, where she said, "There were 3 of us in this marriage." Now, people were asking, was there 4? The international media picked it up too. American networks like CNN and ABC News dove deep into the story, linking it to the British monarchy's long history of secrecy. Even broadcasters in Australia, India, and France began airing documentaries re-evaluating Diana's timeline and medical history. Inside the palace, this global outcry caused panic. Every new report, every tweet, every meme chipped away at the mystique of the monarchy, that ancient belief in unshakable royal order. Royal PR teams tried to shift attention with good works stories, charity visits, school tours, speeches, but none of it stuck. "The truth is now louder than the crown," said one commentator on BBC Radio. "And the people want answers." The pressure had boiled over. With public opinion shifting, there was only one place left for the battle to go: the courtroom. Legal battles and DNA rechecks. The quiet rumors had become a legal firestorm. Within days of the leak, Elizabeth Rose's legal team, reportedly backed by two major human rights law firms, filed a formal petition in London's High Court of Justice. Their request? Immediate recognition of her royal status, a full investigation into her birth and lineage, and potential entitlement to royal assets. The palace, caught flat-footed, responded not with denial, but with a counter-move, calling for secondary DNA testing, this time under strict legal supervision. Chain of custody protocols were enhanced, with third-party international oversight from the World Genetic Registry, to avoid claims of tampering or palace interference. Meanwhile, internal legal briefings revealed a storm brewing over inheritance rights. If Elizabeth was proven to be Diana's firstborn, she could technically have a legal claim to estate portions, royal trust funds, and even properties currently under William and Harry's names, especially those tied directly to Diana, like her jewelry collection or the Althorpe estate connection. The courtroom drama promised to be a royal reckoning. Witnesses were expected to include former palace staff, medical officers from 1981, and possibly confidential MI5 advisors who were reportedly involved in overseeing sensitive royal medical procedures during the early 80s. Some documents would be sealed under the Official Secrets Act, while others might be made public, if the judge allows it. "This is no longer about titles," said a royal legal analyst on Sky News. "This is about rewriting British history, in legal ink." One high-stakes decision also emerged. Should King Charles be called to testify? That possibility alone sent shockwaves through Parliament and the Crown's legal counsel. Now, with court dates looming and Elizabeth Rose preparing to go public, the monarchy finds itself facing a threat unlike any before. Not from outside forces, but from its own blood. And this time, not even the crown can stop what's coming. Royal family reckoning. Who's next in line? With Elizabeth Rose's existence now exposed and her DNA confirmed, the British monarchy faces a constitutional storm it may not survive. At the heart of the chaos lies the question the palace refuses to answer publicly. If Elizabeth is truly Diana's firstborn, does she now outrank Prince William? Historically, the line of succession followed strict birth order. Before the Succession to the Crown Act, 2013, male heirs were automatically prioritized. But that rule changed. Gender no longer mattered. What did? Birth order and legitimacy. And here's the shock. If Elizabeth was born in late 1981, months before William in June 1982, then by every standard prior to 2013, she'd legally be first in line after Charles. But here's the twist. King Charles III has remained silent. Sources say he's considering refusing to acknowledge Elizabeth to preserve stability. Yet doing so may invite a constitutional crisis, especially if legal rulings or Parliament start weighing in. If Charles steps down or abdicates, the crown would pass to William, unless the court rules otherwise. Even more explosive, palace aides have reportedly been briefing parliamentary advisors on line reshuffling options in secret. That includes creating a new royal role for Elizabeth without formally including her in the direct line, essentially a royal sidestep. But insiders say she may refuse such a compromise, especially after being hidden for over 4 decades. The British monarchy has never seen a threat like this. Not from revolution, not from scandal, but from within its own bloodline, one legal scholar told The Independent. Royal succession hasn't faced this level of uncertainty since 1936, when King Edward VIII abdicated to marry Wallis Simpson. But back then, the threat was love. Today, it's truth. And with lawyers circling, the press demanding answers, and millions watching, the question becomes impossible to avoid. Who really deserves the crown? And who will fight to keep it? Aftermath and legacy. The new face of Windsor. As the dust begins to settle and the royal gates creak beneath the weight of public scrutiny, one truth remains. The British monarchy will never return to what it once was. The once untouchable House of Windsor, cloaked for centuries in mystery and reverence, now stands exposed, fractured by revelation, shaken by truth, and uncertain of its own future. At the center of this historic storm is Elizabeth Rose, the woman now confirmed, scientifically and genealogically, as Princess Diana's firstborn child. For over 4 decades, she was hidden, erased, and dismissed, her very existence buried beneath layers of protocol, scandal avoidance, and silence. But now, with the world watching, her silence has ended. According to insiders, Elizabeth is preparing to make a highly anticipated public debut within the next 4 to 6 weeks, coordinated with extreme caution and legal precision. Her legal team, reportedly working with 2 international law firms and a crisis management agency, is negotiating for personal protection, a formal royal security detail, and potential legal acknowledgement from the Crown itself. Early drafts of settlement options include ducal titles, a trust inheritance, and a limited public-facing royal role. But there's another path Elizabeth may choose, the path of service, not sovereignty. Sources close to her say she is leaning toward becoming a people's representative, dedicating her platform to the causes Diana herself once championed: landmine survivors, the AIDS crisis, homelessness, and mental health. If true, she may not only extend her mother's legacy, but evolve it into something modern and unbound by royal red tape. Meanwhile, Princess Diana's legacy has been reborn in a new light. No longer just the people's princess, or the tragic figure taken too soon, she is now remembered as the mother of a hidden royal, whose life and love were manipulated to serve the crown. Across London, Manchester, and Birmingham, murals have surfaced overnight. Public art pieces bear Diana's image beside a faceless woman, with slogans like "Diana's line lives on," "Justice for the firstborn," and "The crown can't kill truth." A viral projection across Buckingham Palace's outer wall showed Diana's photo fading into the words, "Your legacy continues." Inside the palace, a storm brews behind forced smiles and scripted photo ops. Branding consultants, historical advisors, and digital PR teams have reportedly been tasked with rebranding the monarchy into something softer, more inclusive, and capable of weathering a modern world where secrets don't stay buried. Among the proposals, public reconciliation ceremonies, restoration of stripped titles, and the creation of a new council of extended royal service figures, to include Elizabeth Rose without acknowledging her as a direct heir. Whether or not Elizabeth Rose ever wears a crown is almost beside the point now. Her existence has already redrawn the boundaries of what the monarchy is and isn't. And with the internet, independent media, and a generation raised on transparency over tradition, it's no longer the palace that controls the narrative. It's the people. Public opinion is more divided than ever. Some say she should receive everything she's owed: titles, estates, and a public apology. Others argue that stirring the past endangers national unity and tarnishes Diana's memory. But in every debate, one reality rises above all. The Crown's grip on its own story has slipped, and the people have seized the pen. "This isn't just about succession," said one cultural historian during a live Sky News debate. "This is about who tells the story of the Crown. And for the first time in British history, that story doesn't belong to the palace. It belongs to us." Now, with the world waiting for Elizabeth's first words and the royal family holding their breath, a new era begins, not from a throne, but from the truth itself. As the world watches, and as Elizabeth Rose prepares to speak, the final question hangs heavy over Buckingham Palace. Is the monarchy forever changed, or only just beginning its reckoning? The monarchy's biggest secret is no longer hidden. DNA proves Diana had a daughter, born before Prince William. With the royal bloodline officially changed, the line of succession is in crisis. Titles, legacies, and royal power are now in question. One truth remains: the Crown may never recover from this.